Hey everybody, we are live. This is a meeting with Rick, and I am so excited for meeting with Rick tonight. And Rick, I just have to tell you that I have enjoyed commenting back and forth with you for I don't know how long, a while now, in the different live streams. And I just wanted to invite you on my channel and actually kind of talk to you face to face. I've watched you on camera, I've chatted with you in the chats. But we've never gotten the chance to speak like this before. So welcome. Thank you for doing this interview with me. And if I'm not mistaken, you have a piece of your heart attack chicken in your hand. Yeah, there it is. There it is.
I can't resist this stuff.
Got to do it. I'm like, hey, bring that right out there. Eat right for it. That's so awesome. That is on my list to try. And when I make it, yeah, look at that. When I make it, I'm going to video that. Does that recipe work with just chicken wings? I have like some frozen, like the party wings, like the smaller ones. Would it?
Yes.
Okay.
I've actually made a video. I don't know if I uploaded it or not, where I did chicken wings. I've had friends, they have their get-togethers, and I'm when they ask me to cook, I'll cook the chicken wings my way, and no one has ever said they were bad. So
okay, well that's the chicken I've got, and I'm going to give it a try. If you are here, go ahead and throw a comment in. It's pretty barren in there, but let me know you're here and where you're watching from, who's out there. We got a few people watching. But Rick, what I would like to talk about first with you, I'm hoping you'd be willing to share your story, because I know your channel in parentheses there says the 40-year carnivore. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Of course. Actually, I've been doing several interviews in the last more than a year. It's been like a year and a half. And everyone seemed to be kind of fascinated. I know the first interview that I did, it had over 240,000 views.
Whoa.
I don't know why he took it down, but and a lot of the other carnivores, you'll see they've had interviews with me. Even some of the big ones, like Anthony Chafee was one of the first of the well-known, and of course Parquet, and also Sean Baker.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had several interviews, but my story is really very simple. Unlike most of the carnivores that you'll see there, I'm actually one that tried to get a heart attack. That was what my diet was all about. And a lot of times you see people, and I was actually listening to one of Anthony Chafee's the live that he had last night, and he was talking about he had eaten some plant material and felt suicidal or depressed or something like that. And I had some of those feelings myself when I was a teenager, because I was really short and really skinny. Everybody made fun of me. I got picked on constantly. So I got to the point where I said, I don't even want to live. I just, I'm not the kind of person that would kill myself, because I don't believe that that's right. But I thought, you know what? If I could get myself really sick and I wouldn't have to go, because I was getting ready to go to high school and I did not look forward to it. I thought it was going to be some terrible experience where I got picked on all the time, sort of like junior high, but worse. So I thought, you know what? I fell through the roof trying to help my dad build a carport. I broke my arm. I was stuck in the house. And my mother was taking some college courses because she was a teacher to renew her certificate. And my dad, he was working. So I was pretty much by myself, and I had to cook for myself. And, like most teenagers, I'm not really much of a cook. But since I had the opportunity to cook for myself, I thought, well, let me eat stuff that I like. And back in the 80s, like 1983 or whatever it was, everyone was talking about how bad fat and cholesterol is. My parents would get skim milk because it had, didn't have the fat in it. They would get that disgusting low-fat cheese, and they even had this spread. They didn't want to use real butter, so they used this stuff that came in a plastic tub that looked like wheel bearing grease and probably tasted just about the same. So I thought, I could have a diet where I eat all the bad things, the things that I like anyway, because I never really liked candy or desserts. I wish my mother would still be alive, because when school, a lot of times as a reward, they'd give you candy, and I would put it in my pocket, and then it would get left in the laundry. My mom would put it in the washing machine, and it would turn into a sticky disaster. And if it managed to get in the dryer, it only got worse.
Yeah.
And I got yelled at many times for that. And my dad was very health conscious. He believed very much in whole grains and, put wheat germ in everything. and all these tablets. We had a whole bunch of different vitamins and supplements like brewer's yeast, which I actually didn't mind the taste of. I kind of liked it. But a lot of the vitamins we had were very sweet. Like, for example, the vitamin C, they had these big, kind of white, flat vitamin C tablets. They look almost like a big disc. They taste like sugar. I found out
Mhm.
later they're full of sugar,
Mhm.
which what I also learned later is that vitamin C and sugar kind of compete with each other. So that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. They did have a real sort of sour tasting powder. They had an ascorbic acid powder, which sometimes we'd use, but we had all kinds of vitamins and bone meal and all this other stuff. And I wasn't a vegetarian or vegan kid, but my parents, my dad especially, said that I shouldn't eat too much meat because the meat can be bad. But we did have fish and we did have, we had some meat, of course, but it wasn't really, we didn't really have steak that often. I don't think we had steak more than a few times when I was growing up. So when I was by myself and I had to feed myself, I realized we got all kinds of stuff in the refrigerator and in the freezer. We had a bunch of meat in the freezer. I thought, hey, there's some steaks in here. There's some lamb. There's some fish. There's other things. So what I started doing, I just started cooking up all these meats that I like. And then when I made my breakfast, I would use, instead of using just one egg, I would use three or four or how many eggs I could get. And I didn't use that super brand spread. I used good old butter.
Yep.
We did have some butter. So, and then I discovered lard. I actually discovered lard based on a Tom and Jerry cartoon because
Really?
yeah, there was one. I think it was called the Zoot Cat, where he made a zoot suit out of a hat. I mean, out of a lampshade and a hammock, and he cut it up and put a coat hanger to make his shoulders bigger. And
Hmm.
then at the beginning of that, he was trying to style his hair, so he started putting a bunch of lard on his hair and pull
Hmm.
it up and put like curlers and bing. I mean, it was really funny. So and one thing that happened to me a lot when I was younger is that when I got picked on, a lot of times kids would mess up my hair or they'd spit on it. So I thought, what could I put on my hair that's really, really nasty? And when I saw that Tom and Jerry cartoon, I thought, oh, lard. Then my dad had told me that people used to cook with this stuff. And when I looked at it, I go, if you can cook with it, it's edible. So I tried eating it, and then I became addicted to eating lard. I love to eat lard. To this day, I have to keep it in the other refrigerator because otherwise I'll eat it. I love the taste of lard. I'll use lard for cooking, and I don't know why I like lard so much, but of course I also like beef tallow now that I discovered that. But that's what I was doing that summer. So instead of eating the other stuff that we used to eat, like the spaghetti and the salads, and you know, well, even the meatloaf, I didn't really like because the meatloaf is only part meat. There's like other stuff in it. They'd put flour and wheat germ and all this other nasty stuff in there.
Oh.
And then the oatmeal that had to go. That was disgusting. That nasty, soupy. It looked like something somebody vomited up. They'd put milk in there and brown sugar to make it somewhat palatable, but it only made it more disgusting to me. I used to dump it out the window so the ducks would eat it, but I got rid of all that. And I went on basically what you'd call a carnivore diet. I called it the heart attack diet. And the interesting thing about it is that my parents at first were kind of upset, but my mom was like, "Yeah, at least he's cooking for himself." And my dad's like, "Well, he's young. Nothing will happen. He'll change. When he gets older, he'll change. He'll be fine." And that's what I did. So I started eating what you would now call the carnivore diet. I started putting lard in my hair. I went to a 50s style, which I still have, with the part in it. I look like somebody from late 50s, early 60s. And remember, this was in the 80s when everybody had big hair.
Hmm.
So the other thing about the carnivore diet is when I got to the point where I was eating different, I thought, let me just do everything differently. Let me go with what I like. I'm not going to go with what everybody else likes. I'll find the things that I enjoy, and that's what I'll do. So I wanted that old fashioned look, and people made fun of me anyway. So hey, you can make fun of me all you want. I got called Pee Wee Herman more than once, but I think there was a little bit of a difference between me and Pee Wee Herman. But hey, it was the 80s, so I didn't want to look. I'd rather look like Pee Wee Herman than Michael Jackson. That's pretty much my theory, you know. And but
Yep.
yeah, the that's the lard, the meat, and all those things. it just became part of my life. And then, of course, what happened, the more that I did it, it was just so natural. Like when I would go to lunch, I would make, my mom had these like Tupperware, these plastic containers, and I wish I still had one, but the top of it had like ridges in it. And then you would snap it together and you put your food in there. So I was cooking ground beef stew, which is basically just ground beef. And that's it. Ground beef cooked in water. I'd put it in the Tupperware and take it to school and eat it there. And people would be like, "What's that? Oh, that's disgusting." Oh. And then sometimes I'd have fish. If somebody was bothering me, I'd crack out a snapper or a grouper or something like that. And so I'm eating fish in the cafeteria and everybody's getting away from me. Well, eventually they banned me from the cafeteria, and I used to eat outside. When I was in high school, the first year of school, you could
Wait, wait,
go
wait.
anywhere you wanted at
Wait,
lunchtime.
wait. Banned you from the cafeteria? Who banned you? The adults?
Yeah, the cafeteria staff didn't want me in the cafeteria because I was bringing fish in there and steak and all kinds of stuff.
Oh,
And
they were jealous. That's what it is.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that when I eat a steak, and I got to the point where I don't even use a knife or fork. I mean, first of all, they wouldn't let me bring a knife to the cafeteria. That was the first problem. I had a steak knife. No, you can't bring that in the cafeteria.
You
Okay.
can't bring that to school, Rick.
Well, back then it wasn't that big of a deal, but when I brought a steak knife to the cafeteria, it became a big deal. So I ended up in the principal's office. Then you can't have a fork. You have to use this stupid plastic. They had the spork, which is basically a spoon with a fork edge. And as soon as you plunged it into any decent food, it would snap in half. I'm like, what's the point? And those plastic utensils are nasty. They get greasy. They get disgusting. And then so I said, you know what? Forget it. I'll put the steak in foil and I'll just eat it. I'll just eat it like a sandwich. And that grossed out some people. They said, well, what are you eating? I'm eating a steak. Steak. Well, I don't know what the problem was. It should be, well, yeah, sandwich, people have meat sandwich, but I don't want the bread. So it's
No
just a
bread.
steak. Yeah, there you go. So eventually, between the fish, the knife, the fork, all these other things, and I got banned from the cafeteria. So I had to eat outside. They had a patio outside. So I'd eat out there. I'd sit out there and brush the flies away because they would come around once in a while. And I just eat my lunch there. But eventually, since I was taking an electronics class, the electronics teacher let me eat in the classroom. So I would eat there. And that was fine. After it was about halfway in the year, I don't think I ever went back to the cafeteria after that because I had electronics classes in 11th and 12th grade, and we always ate in the classroom then too. And in fact, our electronics teacher used to actually sell sodas and snacks to other kids. I guess that's how we made extra money to buy
Yeah.
something at the end of the year. I never understood the whole idea of the soda because I hate sodas, but we did have a water fountain, so that made it very handy. But every time I would eat, I'd break out a piece of meat and I'd be chewing on steak or sausage or fish. Um, yeah, a couple of times I had some exotic meats. Um, we didn't have any iguanas back then, but I did have a duck one time, and they were laughing. Oh, is it from the canal? I said, yeah, it's from the canal. No, no, yeah, I got it from the canal. I killed it and cooked it myself. Of course, after that, then this guy's really crazy. But the good thing about high school is that after that first year, I wasn't the shortest. I was starting to grow, and on top of that, my attitude changed. I used to get very upset when people would bother me, and it
Hmm.
just after that I didn't care anymore. It was actually kind of funny because I could see when they were going to do it. A lot of times I'd be waiting for them when they try to do something. Oh yeah, I know what you're going to do. And there was one kid that used to pick on me in junior high, and I got temporarily suspended because he started to pick on me, and I lost it, and I hit him. I hit him on the head, and he ended up on the floor. I knocked him. I didn't knock him out, but I knocked him down. And
Mm.
then, of course, I ended up in the office. You know how that goes.
Yep.
Assistant principal, and then my parents got called. Well, my dad was happy because my dad always told me, you got to fight back. So my dad acted mad, but then when we got out of school, he says, oh, you got him, didn't you? I said, yeah, I got him. And I wasn't that big. But the thing is, I guess eating all that meat, my strength doubled. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, I
Yeah.
was always a fast kid. I was hard to catch, so I never really got beat up. But it was the first time I ever hit somebody and knocked him to the floor. And after that, I didn't really have any more problems. I mean, I have to admit, 11th and 12th grade, nobody picked on me. I just and my grades went from C's to straight A's because when I first started high school, they weren't so good. But after my first 10th grade, they were straight A's, and 11th and 12th straight A's. When you're not being picked on, and your mind just seems to work better
Mhm.
too. I
Mhm.
don't know how to describe it, but I was never a good student. I'd get bored, and I'd get frustrated, and I got to high school, it changed, and then of course I went to college on a scholarship, so I had to be reasonably intelligent. But
Yeah.
that's what happened. I think the diet or lifestyle, I don't know, but I wasn't trying to please anyone. I wasn't trying to follow the trends. I
Mhm.
came up with my own look and my own way of doing things. I ate my own diet, and I just felt more relaxed. Everything had changed.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you've just been eating that way ever since, from what I know,
Well,
right? Pretty
with
much.
with one exception, in
Okay.
1993, I kind of fell to the peer pressure, and I went
Mm.
on a vegetarian and plant-based diet, but it didn't end well. It was really bad.
It didn't stick.
No. I got the worst flu of my life. I started having, when I got that flu, I couldn't even breathe at night. It's like JT when he was talking about his sleep apnea. It was kind of like that.
Mhm.
I get up with a
Wow.
stuffy nose, I can't breathe. My
Yeah,
parents are worried. I mean, it was horrible. And then I couldn't eat. I didn't want to eat. I was throwing up. I felt terrible. It just
man. So
everything
how
went.
how long did you stick to that? Like how long did you try that for before you went back to the meat?
I started it January 1st, 1993.
Okay.
And sometime in July, I don't know the exact date. It was either the end of July or the beginning of August. I had
Okay.
gotten the flu. I know I was pretty much out of it for a week. I had never not eaten. I think I ate for maybe 2 or 3 days out of the whole time. And for like 4 days straight, I couldn't eat. Lost a lot of weight. Actually, I was losing weight on the stupid vegetarian diet and
Mm.
all those nasty juices that my dad was giving me. Because the whole idea was, it just you 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 start off by transitioning by eating more vegetables. I mean, I was still eating eggs and cheese to some extent, but then I felt good for a while, then felt bad. Then you had to get away from that. Then you had to go and take all these nasty juices, all this green crap, which was disgusting. And I mean, it looked like something that came out of a wood chipper. It was nasty.
Yes.
The smell, the taste. You know how when you cut the grass and you get all that garbage that gets under the lawnmower you have to clean out? That's what it smelled
Mhm.
like.
Mhm.
And then they
Mhm.
put fruit in there to try to make it sweeter, which just makes it worse. It's
Yeah.
absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, I did it because my parents and a lot of people I know had convinced me that the meat based diet I was eating was going to kill me, which
Mhm.
I didn't really care about. But then they said, well, it's going to cause cancer and stroke and all that. And I'd rather just get a heart attack and get it over with. But I listened to it. I said, okay, I'm going to go on the vegetarian diet. My parents were very happy. Everybody was happy except for me. And I was the one that was extremely unhappy. And when I had this really bad flu, it was like that
That,
was it.
yeah.
I couldn't do it anymore. When I felt good enough to go outside, the first thing I did, I found some duck eggs by the front door and I got those and cooked them up. And from then on, I never went to the plant based diet ever again.
That's awesome that I mean, well, now kind of like, you tried it and you for sure figured out that that is not what is good for you. So, and you went right back. We have some friends here saying hello. So, hi, Karen. Karen says hi, Christian, Rick.
Hello.
RV there yet jumped right in, didn't even say hello, just said because lard is delicious.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I save all my so bacon fat would be considered lard, right? Because it's pork.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I save all my bacon fat now, and I cook my eggs in it. If I'm not already cooking bacon that day, for sure it is delicious. I agree. And this is something I want to try. RB there yet? I just saw my list of carnivore things to do. I have a carnivore to-do list, the length of my arm. But I do want to go to the butcher and get the beef fat, the leftover beef fat
Oh,
trimmings.
yes. That's really good for making tallow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know you make tallow out of it, but other people they eat them. So are we there yet? Will you tell me, do you have it? Because a lot of people do it in the air fryer, but like I don't have an air fryer. Could I do it?
Convection oven,
I have a convection oven. Okay.
you can use that. It works fine.
Okay. So yeah, it's like my regular oven, but I have a setting like for convection on there. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a try maybe, or I don't know, but yeah, that's on my list of things to do. And then right after that, Miss Nicole, the former fat girl herself, chimed in.
Nicole, look at that.
So yes, hi Nicole, nice to see you. And also, yep, Miss Renee right here. Hey everyone, hi Renee, thanks for popping in and saying hello. And also,
Another regular commenter.
yeah, I love Renee. Thank you for the compliment. I did get some new colors, and if you came in a little bit late, I have a little intro now. So I tried that out today. I think it went pretty well. So yes, I don't have an outro yet though, you guys. That's next on my to-do list, but I have an intro, so that was fun. And then we also had my friend Erin popping in. Let's see, where did she pop in? Here she is. I didn't star it. That's why I didn't see it. There she is. Hi, Erin. Nice to see you. Now, Rick, have you ever had to wear glasses? Because Nicole says she's wearing her glasses and she's trying to get used to them. Every time she drinks water from this damn cup, it smacks into her glasses. And she's not thinking that these glasses things working out too well. Nicole, that's hilarious.
It's funny because both of my parents wore glasses. My dad's more for reading, but my mom, she always had eye issues. So I seem to be the exception. I've never had to wear glasses.
That's awesome. I wonder if I'd eaten meat my whole life if I wouldn't have had to wear them. I've had my glasses since I was 14 years old. They're for distance. And I will tell you, Nicole, that if I don't wear them, like I used to wear contacts more, but my eyes would get so, I just stopped doing it. I stopped caring about the look and just went for what's comfortable. But if I do, like when I went to my aunt's wedding last weekend and I wore my contacts to that, I'll sit there, I'll find myself like pushing up invisible glasses that aren't even there. So then I just look like an idiot, like tapping myself in the face. So there you go, Nicole. I have the opposite problem. When I don't have my glasses, yeah, I don't know what to do with myself. So that's pretty funny. Well, I hope you get used to them. And hey, look who else just showed up. Hi, Carrie. Yes, happy Friday Eve, Carrie. This is the best Friday Eve ever for us teachers. Because guess what next week is? Thanksgiving. We get the whole week off. We get the whole week off, Rick.
I got something really good for that weekend. Duck.
Okay. Okay, so you're having duck for Thanksgiving? That's one of the things I wanted to ask you.
I'm having duck on the weekend. I don't really celebrate Thanksgiving, but that weekend I usually have duck because everybody else has turkey.
Yeah.
So Ducky is he's been already in his pen for 2 weeks. I've been feeding him and fattening him up. He's been mating with as many females as I can get in there. So he's in a really good mood.
I bet he is. I bet he is. And that is something I have not tried. I have never tried duck. I will have to say, not.
Well, the duck that we have here is what we call Muscovy duck. It's a little different than the duck you buy in the store. This duck tastes like beef, basically. Huh. So, yeah, the thing is, it's naturally a very lean, gamey meat. But if you get the ducky and you feed it a lot of fruit and corn and all the things that we're not supposed to eat, then they get tender and they get less of that wild flavor. You know, it tastes almost like a good quality steak. You know, it would be like a T-bone steak. It's very tender, very delicious. But if you grab them from the canal, they're going to taste like dirt.
Yeah, they're going to taste like canal.
And the other thing is that it's very important not to stress your duck. You want the duck to be as happy as possible. You know, when you kill the duck, you want to do it when you're not around. So I developed my own automatic guillotine. So when it's time for Ducky to come to dinner, his head will be removed without me even having to look at it.
Wow, that's pretty nifty. That's another thing I wanted to talk to you about. This is not a carnivore topic at all, but you said electronics class in high school. That got me thinking, is that where you started learning all these like self-sufficient ways of yours? Because you're the most self-sufficient person I think I've ever met in these modern times. Like if you lived back in like the frontier days, you'd be the guy out in the woods just like doing everything, building everything, hunting everything. That's what I feel about you. So when did you start learning all of this stuff? Was it that electronics class or did you learn from somebody else?
It actually, when I was growing up as a kid, we had a lot of old timers still around here in Miami. Now it's all just sort of material, buy everything on debt. But back then, there was still people that were from the Depression, and my parents they grew up in the Depression. So they had to make do with what they had.
Hmm.
And I've always been sort of a poor person. I've never had a lot of money. So a lot of times I would have to be resourceful. And when you're poor, unless you want to live a really deprived life, you have to learn how to do things. Because what you can do a lot of times, you can trade. If you want to get something, maybe sort of out of reach, and you might get some tools or something like that, you can do work for other people and they'll pay you instead of in money, they'll give you stuff. And then once you have a good supply of tools and materials, then you can learn how to do other things. It's
Okay.
like, for example, I wanted a bicycle when I was a kid. Well, my parents didn't have the money for a new bicycle. So what I ended up with, we had one of our neighbors had an old one that they sold for like $5 or $10 or whatever it was. And it worked, but it needed work. So I kind of learned how to fix it myself, how to install a new chain, how to change the bearings and all that. So it started with bicycles. Then it went to like a mini bike and go kart and all these things. My dad didn't want me to have any of these things, but I had a lot of friends that had them, so I'd end up with them. A lawnmower, we had an electric lawnmower when I was a little kid. Then my parents got me one of those push lawnmowers they had on sale at Woolco. There's no motor, you just push the silly thing, and it's
Yeah, my
it's
dad had one of those back in the 80s.
yep. This was in the 70s,
Okay.
and I'll tell you, it's just I mean, it was a pain. You have to push over it like 10 times before you could cut it.
Yep.
So then they finally got a new lawnmower for me at Sears because they had a sale on it. But when you have a lawnmower, they break. They don't, they're not going to last forever. I mean, you may get it for the first couple of years, it's fine. But one day it won't start or the cord pulls out. And then you got to learn
Mhm.
about it. And I had a lot of friends that cut grass. So I learned how to fix a lawnmower, how to change the oil. I started doing that for other people I know because I hate cutting grass. There's nothing I hate more than cutting grass, that nasty sun, pushing that lawnmower around, raking leaves. It's just no fun. That's why in my own house I don't have a lawn. I got rid of the lawn. I don't believe in lawns. I believe in compost, ducks, fruits, vegetables, whatever, but no lawn, no grass. But I had a lot of friends that made money by cutting grass. I mean, you could make $10 back then mowing a lawn, and when the lawnmower won't start, you can't make any money. So I learned how to do that. I started fixing weed eaters, start fixing ATCs. I started to
Mhm.
become sort of a mechanic. Then eventually, when I got my first car, which is a '69 Charger, I still own along with others, I learned how to work on that. So it was just a matter of necessity because I wanted certain things and I couldn't get them new. Either I couldn't afford it or they just didn't make them because a lot of the stuff I like is old. You
Mhm.
know, if you look around my house, everything I have is pretty old. I don't really like new things that much. I always like stuff from 1960s, 50s, and earlier. I like that style. So you have to learn how to build things and fix things if you're going to have things like that. There's no way around it.
Yeah, some of my favorite videos on your channel have to do with your truck and your van and all that stuff. So the last time I think we were on a round table or something like that together, and then you had to leave because your truck had broken down, and then you have the craziest story. And I'm like, I feel like when I talk to Rick, we just go to the Rickiverse. Like the Rickiverse is an interesting place to live. But you got your truck back to your house. You've been working on it, right? Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that. Is it you guys
Well,
up and running now?
I got it running, but it runs like crap because my engine is completely worn out. It's got over 400,000 miles. And I was finally able to get my hands on my compression testing set, which I had lost. I looked all over for it, but because my shop, the roof is termite eaten and it's rotten, it leaks all over the place. I've had to move stuff around to keep it from getting wet. I'm going to demolish that roof maybe later this year or next year whenever I get the materials. I'm just patching it to keep the water out. So I had put everything away. Well, it turns out I put it in the dining room in a big pile of stuff. And I was trying to find, I was working on my truck. I couldn't find the injector tester that I made. I started digging for it. I found it. And then I found the red box that had the compression tester. So I thought, oh, all this searching, and it was here the whole time. So what I did, I removed the injection pump from my truck just to make sure it was good. And it was perfectly fine. I run my truck on seed oils, so you never know what you're going to find when you're dealing with the fuel system, but it was clean. I am very diligent about filtering the oil, centrifuging it, and pH balancing it. Get it up to an alkaline level, so it works good. Anyway, I took that out. It was fine. I took the injectors out. Some of the injectors are burned. Some of them are sort of like distorted. Three are good, two are okay, and the other ones are just garbage. But then the cylinders, they all have low. Well, some of them are normal compression, but others, one of them is like 60 pounds. So there's no way that engine will ever run good. I'm going to have to rebuild it. I'm going to take it apart, check the valves, check the rings, all that. But I don't want to do that because right now that's my transportation.
Right.
So I have the van that I had bought
Right.
from my dad, and it was sitting there. It actually sat for about 10 years, from about the time my dad died until, about a year ago, actually 2 years ago, I think when the virus started. I think it was a year after the virus started. I moved it, and it had a very angry possum that was living in it. So I evicted him a few months ago. I found out where he was living. It was full of junk. What happened was when my dad got sick, we put a lot of stuff in there to try to make room, try to take care of him, but he didn't last that long. But everything got put in there. And then my mom had things that she didn't want. She put it in the van. It got packed with junk.
Mm.
Then it got rust holes and it leaked. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of that stuff got ruined. So, but after my mom died, I was like, well, I got to do something with this van. So I cleaned it up. And recently I took the rest of the junk out of it. But when I tried to start it, it wouldn't start. And then last weekend I got it started. It ran for about 10 minutes. Then it caught on fire because the fuel lines were rusty, because either the possum or some rodents made a nest on top of the engine. And there was plastic in there and leaves and all kinds of stuff. So, but I had my fire extinguisher handy. I put it out. And then I realized that somebody had rigged, they took out the original fuel filter. They rigged another one on the side. So it was like, okay, now I got to try to find the parts for it. But it's a work in progress. The engine did run good. The transmission has problems. I'm probably going to have to take that out and rebuild it just like I did in my truck back in 2018 when the transmission failed. And of course, not too many people would have a transmission in the dining room taking it apart, but that was me because I didn't want to do it outside where it's dirty. You want to work on your transmission where it's clean. So I brought it inside. And what I'll do, I'll put some transmission conditioner in there in the truck and the van and drive it around. And then when it's loosened up, then I'll go ahead and rebuild it. But I figured I'll
Okay.
get the engine running and then work on it.
Okay. Hey, I have a question for you, and then I promise I'll stop asking about the truck, you guys. This is just, I'm so curious about this stuff. So you run your truck on seed oils. If you fill up your tank with seed oil, how far do you get on a tank of seed oil? How many
It's
miles?
about it's about the same as diesel. My truck gets anywhere from
Okay.
12 to 20 miles to the gallon, but
Okay.
since the engine's in bad shape, it may only get maybe 10 miles to the gallon average.
Gotcha.
But it's
Okay.
about the same as diesel. In fact, in my truck, it's actually better because my injection pump's so worn out. When I run it on diesel, sometimes it won't start when it's hot. I have to pour water on it. But it runs quite well. When the engine is in good shape, it runs really well. And when I
Yeah.
rebuild the engine, it's cleaner than diesel and it has good power. The problem with the seed oils is they oxidize, so you have to
Hmm.
remove the fuel tank every single year and clean it out. The
Yeah.
fuel lines, they get clogged. It's like you talk about heart attack. Well, that's what happens to the fuel lines. They get clots and clogged and all kinds of things. It'll clog the filters, but
Yeah.
it's all a matter of processing. And I store it in nitrogen because once it mixes with oxygen, I mean, think about it. Seed oils were used for paint, and
Hmm.
paint has to dry.
Hmm.
And they even use soybean oil to make ink for newspapers. So it's sort of like that's the way seed oils are. So if you're going to run a vehicle on seed oils, you have to know how to keep it from oxidizing. That's the biggest problem. But in terms of fuel, there's plenty of BTUs. There's a little bit less BTUs in, or as you want to put it, calories in seed oils than there is in diesel. There's more calories in diesel than there are in seed oils, but seed oils oxidize much better. So they burn in the engine more completely. So even though seed oils have less energy, they're a better fuel.
Got it. Okay. Speaking of fuel, how do you eat these days? What do you like? I don't even know. Like I know you eat duck and I know you eat iguana and I know you eat chicken, but I don't know what else you might include in your diet. Can you tell us like what does a day or a week look
It
like?
all it all depends on what's on sale. I mean, if I had my way, I'd have steak all the time.
Yeah.
but I just don't have the money. And with the inflation that we have, steak is not, I don't think I've had a steak in months. So usually it's going to be ground beef because that's usually what's marked down.
Hmm.
Once in a while, I'll have pork when that's marked down. But generally, I eat every single day at least 2 pounds of beef in some form. Like
Okay.
today, I had it in ground beef. And then I had about 5 pounds of heart attack chicken. And for breakfast, I usually have 6 eggs and I'll have some kind of meat with the eggs. I had sardines this morning with the eggs. So it depends on what I have and, what's I
Yeah.
don't plan my meals. I just know it's time to eat and I look around the kitchen and whatever's there, I'll eat it. It's very simple.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, if anyone in the chat has questions for Rick here, let us know. Put them in the chat. You probably don't even have to put a Q in front of it. There's a few people here, but I think I'll catch them. And Renee, I like this idea. Renee says we need to see if we can get Adam to find some free time to do a website where everyone can log in when they plan to go live. I love that because I feel like I miss them half the time. So Rick, what do you got going on this week? Do you have any new videos planned or what's going on your channel?
I have a lot of videos I'd like to do, but my computer is so old that every time I try to edit it, the thing crashes. And,
Mm,
I don't really have a good camera. I'm using an iPhone 6, which I don't know where it is. It's around here somewhere. Right now, I'm using a webcam and my laptop, which is like 9 years old.
yeah.
So it's a little bit frustrating. There's a lot of things I'd like to do there. I was even thinking about a video a few weeks ago about, you know, the whole vegan versus carnivore controversy because I argue with vegans all the time. I have several vegan friends and acquaintances, and it just seems to be really, really common. They're always trying to stir up some controversy about how bad meat is, how bad it is for the earth. So I was going to make a video that proves that actually the meat eaters are less harmful to the earth than the vegans because when you think about all the garbage that people that eat vegetables generate, I mean, you think about how much plant material is wasted in the process. By the time that you go to the store and buy some leaves or fruits or whatever, probably 10-15% of them have been thrown away because there's a produce where wholesaler a few miles from here, and you go in the back and they got dumpsters full of produce, lettuce and fruit and all kind. I mean, tons of this stuff. It's just amazing. And every grocery store they have a bunch of waste, and most of the waste they throw out is going to be plant material. I'm not too proud to admit that I dig through the dumpsters. I go through the dumpster at Aldi to get duck food because I always like to give my ducks whatever I can find. And I've never found any meat in there. All I ever find is fruits and veggies and then that stuff goes in the garbage. People put it in a plastic bag. It ferments and without oxygen, it makes methane. And then they're complaining about cow farts and poop and all that. And meanwhile,
burps.
they're burps and they're generating all this methane in the garbage truck, in the landfill, in the dumpsters. And everybody, you go to these apartment buildings, they have bag after bag of garbage. Any of these dumpsters behind a grocery store, bag after bag of garbage, flies all over the place.
Mhm.
It's just, and gas. I mean, you can only imagine. So I was going to calculate how much methane is produced by all that and then compare it to what the average cow would produce. Because
Interesting.
a cow just basically eats grass and hay and other leftover materials, which, by the way, have no other use. If you're going to grow crops and you're going to have all this stuff left over, you could either mulch it or you could give it to the animals and let them mulch it for you.
That's right. Throw it to the ducks, says Renee.
Well,
I'm down with that. I'm down with that. We have some ducks around here, Rick, but I don't know what kind they are. I hear them quacking though from time to time, and then I'll see them, flying sometimes. But they're not kind of like all over the place.
They're probably mallard ducks because
Yeah.
they're smaller. What we have here is mostly Muscovy ducks. They're like double the size. They look like mutant ducks. They have red things on their heads. Some people call them turkey ducks because they have some of that
Hmm.
red stuff like turkeys have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but they're a different duck. But I do see mallards occasionally, and there's also another exotic here called an Egyptian goose, and I've seen them flying around. In fact, I was riding my bike today, and I saw them flying along the canal. And the reason I was riding my bike is because I don't trust my stupid truck. I had to go to Presidente to buy some chicken, and that's one of those trips that actually, because the traffic here is so bad, I can go there faster on the bicycle than I can in my truck because I got to wait in line. I got to deal with all the Miami drivers. And then that parking lot is like a third world country. There's maniacs going all over the place, backing up. They don't know where they're going. So when I go to Presidente, I'll do that. Sometimes when I go to Fresco y Mas, which is, I mean, it's not as bad because that was a Winn-Dixie. They got a bigger parking lot, but sometimes I'll do that on the bicycle also. That takes me another 10, 15 minutes, but I can save fuel that way. And
Mm.
for somebody like me that doesn't exercise other than work, I guess that's some kind of a
Yeah.
workout.
Oh yeah, that's like really good. So on a turkey, this is I learned this, you guys. When you teach kids, you learn weird stuff sometimes. On a turkey, that thing, the red thing that goes over the beak, is called a snood. A snood,
Okay.
and the below down here is called the wattle. So you got the wattle and the snood. I learned that yesterday teaching kids.
Well, if you look up a Muscovy duck, you'll see they have similar things and they have feathers that can rise up like a mohawk on top of their head.
Oh, just the males, or males and females have that?
Well, both the males and females, but the males, of course, can do it much larger. The males are double the size of the females. They're
Yeah,
huge. They
yeah,
can barely fly. I mean, they can fly, but they don't fly that well.
right. Okay. Well, we have a question for you, Rick. Eric, and welcome, Eric. But Eric would like to know, what would you do, Rick, if someone put Brussels sprouts on your plate?
I'd take them out and I'd give them to the ducks later on.
Duck food. I've
Duck
heard you
food.
say, is this, did I hear you say this at one time, that you would like sneak your vegetables out the window to the ducks when you
Yeah,
were
when I was my dining room when I was a kid, we had a sliding door. And a lot of times, if it was winter time, back then we didn't use air conditioning much because it wasn't that hot. So I would actually throw the veggies and the oatmeal. I'd let the oatmeal harden and then make like little balls out of it and throw it out into the yard and let the ducks eat it. And if I threw it far enough away, the ducks would be all the way by the fence, and then my parents couldn't see that they're eating all the food. And especially nasty things like cooked carrots, they're just really disgusting.
I
I
really
mean,
don't love cooked carrots. I
ugh,
never did.
it's just, and my parents call me a picky eater because they give me green beans. I couldn't stand them. They went to the ducks. Corn, I can't stand corn. It's nasty. Give it to the ducks. It's just, I don't like vegetables. I can't
Yeah.
stand vegetables.
Everybody put your least favorite vegetable in the chat. Oh my gosh. Okay. Mine is peas. Peas, like cooked, like they're gross. I can't with the texture, like they're gritty. At least the ones my mom made me eat, and I ate them too because I was compliant and I didn't have any ducks, Rick, or a window or anything else. And so, yeah, I ate those dang peas, and they were nasty every time. Nasty. Cooked
My
carrots for a close second, though.
The
I
vegetable I hate the most is beans. I cannot stand beans. They're disgusting and they make me sick.
you talking green beans or like pinto
Any
beans?
any
Any
beans, lima beans, black
only
beans, and
beans.
they got all the Cubans down here. They love black beans. It's nasty. It looks like some kind of tar and seeds. It's just disgusting. Black beans are really nasty. And a lot of times I'll get them. People give them to me. They've gone bad. I'll cook them up for the ducks, and I look at that stuff and I think, how can anybody want to eat that nasty stuff? But they love They love beans. The
Yeah.
Cubans love beans. I don't know what it is. Rice and beans. That's their thing.
I'm assuming this is for me, Renee. Yeah, all peas that I've ever tried, I don't know, nasty, raw, like the ones in the little, like the pods or whatever that you could eat like raw. We'd sometimes, I don't know what they're called, you guys, but my mom would put them on a salad, and like they'd be in the pods still. I don't know what those are. Let me know, but they were gross. And then, but worse than even that was the cooked ones. My mom didn't buy a lot of canned stuff. They were like, I think they were frozen, and then she'd cook them, and they were like gritty, like they were grainy. Oh, I'd be gagging them down. And then that little, like the coating would come off, and then be like this little thing gets stuck in your throat when you try. Rick's like nodding. He's like, I know, Christy, I know what you're talking about. Just gross. Just no. I haven't eaten a pea since when I moved out when I was 17, and I have not eaten one since. But my mom would
That's
make me eat them 2 or 3 times a week growing
that's
up.
a very, very smart decision. Vegetables I always thought were some kind of torture. They're trying to make you eat this nasty stuff so you get sick. I don't understand how people ever started eating vegetables. I even told my dad one time they must have been really sick. They had nothing else to eat. They don't have any meat to eat. I guess they have to eat a bunch of leaves and seeds and stems and What are we supposed to be, like an insect? Like a caterpillar eating all that stuff? It's nasty.
Yeah. Hi, Rhonda. Nice to see you. She just popped in, wanted to say hi. Yeah. So I've got a couple people with the Brussels sprouts. Bleh. And I know Nicole is no on the Brussels sprouts too. So Nicole, chime in. Come on, give us your best puke face. We don't have your sound effects. We don't have your toilet bowl flushing. We could pretend flush, right? No,
Those horrible,
yeah,
those
you're right.
horrible collard greens that people like.
Oh, we never ate those. I think my mom made them once or twice because my dad was from the South and he liked them. And so but very rarely. I grew up in the 80s. Rick, I'm not sure when you were born, but I grew up in the 80s and I'm with you on like my mom bought all the margarine, all of the non-fat milk. Oh yeah, all of that stuff that you talked about that your parents would try to feed you. Definitely I ate that. If it was meat, it was white meat chicken.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I
Fish.
hate white meat. Oh,
We never had beef. I mean, very rarely did we have beef. There were definitely meatless days. Like we'd have pasta with just like tomato sauce and then some vegetables or a salad. And I think some of that was budget, honestly. But yeah, we definitely have those days. But yeah, I ate too many peas, like too many peas. So
every time my parents served me pasta, I had to get a bunch of that Parmesan cheese, that comes, that powder that was in a cardboard container, and I would put so
yes,
much on there. My mom says, "You're covering it with cheese." Yeah, that's the only way I can eat this stuff because I do not like pasta.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
I don't understand why it's so popular. I hate it. Now, when it comes to white meat chicken, I did find one use for white meat chicken where I actually like it, and that's when I make my pacemaker pizza. That is the only use for white meat chicken that I ever enjoyed.
I'm telling you, you just got to come up with a few more of those names. You got your pacemaker pizza, and you've got your heart attack chicken. You get a few more of these, and you're going to have
Heart
your cookbook.
heart attack burger.
Yeah, seriously, you got to do it because the heart attack chicken has kind of gone viral a little bit. Feel like I'm the only one who hasn't tried it right now, but I'm going to do it. There's Nicole with her Brussels sprouts. Thanks, Nicole.
Let
I
me
didn't
tell
see
you, I,
that.
I have a friend that loves Chick-fil-A. He loves Chick-fil-A. And I told him, I said, "Have you ever eaten regular fried chicken?" "Oh, I've had fried chicken all the time. It's not as good." So I made him some heart attack chicken. And he's like, "Wow, this is really good. What did you put on it?" "Nothing." "What do you mean nothing?" "Nothing.
Nothing.
It's just chicken cooked in lard, or you can cook it in tallow. It doesn't matter." And I try to explain to him it's the fat that makes it taste good. The more fat you have, chicken is not a high fat meat, especially the chicken.
Right.
You know, the white meat chicken is the worst. And my dad used to have one of those goofball grills. What was it? The Sultan George
The
Foreman
George
grill.
Foreman grill. Yeah, my grandparents
Lean,
had one of those.
lean,
Gets rid of
mean
all the fat.
fat, lean, mean fat reducing machine. So
Yes.
you put chicken breast in this stupid thing, and what little fat there is runs out, and you end up with something
Yes.
that tastes like shoe leather.
Yes. The fat would drain down into that little white, like oval thing that would sit because the grill was tilted. My grandparents had one of those things. They used it all the time. Nasty.
And then one time, sometimes they'd make me a hamburger in there, but the problem was that every time they made me a hamburger, they went to the store and they had them cut all the fat out of it so that it would be a very lean meat, and it was very, very bad tasting. It tasted horrible. I mean, it's
Mm.
hard to imagine that beef can taste bad. And then it was always overcooked. My mom would cook this thing, and she had one of those non-stick pans that had like the ridges on it to make it like a griddle or whatever. It never tasted good. It was always dry, and it was always burned on one or two sides. When I started making my own burger, I thought, why don't I just put all the fat, load as much as I can? So when I go to the store, I'd buy the marked down meat, and I would go to Grand Union. Say, what do you do with the fat? "Oh, we throw that out. Can I have it?" "Sure." So that's when I learned how to use fat. That's how I learned how to render lard, and I rendered, the beef tallow. I didn't know there was a difference at first. I used to mix the two. I'd put the pork fat with the beef fat in there and make a bunch of fat, and then I'd use it to fry up chicken or fish or anything like that.
Yeah.
And what I would do with the beef fat a lot of times, when they would have those cheap cuts, they had, like, at the time it was 50 cents a pound. They had this like gristle and fat, this, I don't know what they called it. It wasn't a top round, but it was very similar, a very tough meat. and I would throw all that extra fat that they cut in there and grind it up. I still have it, one of those little hand grinders where you clamp it on the table and you grind
My
away.
mom had one of those. Yeah, yeah. My mom had one of those. She
I
made
still
my
have.
brothers. She did that for my brothers when my brothers are quite a bit younger than me. I remember her doing that to like make meat so that they could eat it when they were babies.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that's what I was doing to make my own hamburgers. And then my parents used to make the skinny hamburgers. It's like a fast food burger. It's like a quarter-inch thick. It's this little skinny thing, which is, ugh. And then a lot of times they'd grill it. If it wasn't in the kitchen, it'd be on the barbecue. But I don't really like grilled meat. The only time I like grilled meat is when it's a really big, thick, fat burger or a real thick steak. Then I'll enjoy it grilled. But I don't like that blackened meat. I don't know. A lot of people love that sear. I don't like it. I
Hmm.
like the meat cooked more slowly.
Okay.
Um, but when it comes to a burger, I do like the burger pan fried. I'll get my cast iron pan. I'll put
Mhm.
my 4 big fat heart attack patties in there, and then I'll just let them cook up. And I'll flip them a few times. I'll stack them up. I'll add 8 slices of cheese, maybe bacon if I have it, and then I just put a couple of heart attack buns on there and start chewing.
Yeah, that sounds delicious. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet. Like I told you earlier, for those of you in the chat, I was talking with Rick before, and I had spoken to my principal today. She started asking all these questions. So instead of leaving early, like I would normally do, or right after school, and come home and eat something before one of these lives that I do, I spent about 45 minutes. My principal was asking me all kind of questions about the proper human diet. You guys, she's a type 2 diabetic. She could probably need to lose about 100 pounds. She's gained weight steadily over the years that I've known her, which is about 8 years, but she's never asked me about this before. So yeah, I spent a good long time with her and told her if she had any other questions. I'm hoping that she will try keto. She really needs to get off this type 2 diabetes medicine she's on, and she's on quite a few medications. So that's what I was doing instead of eating my dinner when I normally would. And so all this talk about heart attack burgers is making me want one. Bruce says he is not a fan of squash. Not so much either.
I always thought it was called squash because when you get it, you step on it.
I was like meh about the squash. Not as bad as peas, but like not great. Yeah, I always only ate vegetables because I thought they were good for me. Like never because ooh, this is delicious. Like never because of that.
It's like
Um,
people love mashed potatoes. I hate potatoes. I do not. Potatoes, the only way I could eat a potato is to fry it in tallow. I cannot eat baked potatoes or mashed potatoes. They're absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, the only way I would eat mashed potatoes is with all the stuff in them. Like if they had bacon and butter and sour cream in there, then I would eat them. That's like the way
There
that
you
I would
go.
like them.
There you go. I mean, and that
Yeah,
I've had that many times served to me. I said, "Well, you can have the potato. I'll eat the sour cream and the
seriously, I'll eat
bacon."
the sides, all the stuff. Like give me a loaded potato without the potato. Just
There you go.
the
I
loaded stuff.
I but that was they told me the potatoes are good for you. They have potassium and they have magnesium and they have all this stuff in it. Yeah, but they taste like crap. I don't want to eat a potato. But
Serious. Yeah,
they
not
used to
plain.
cut
Have
them.
you tried eating one plain? Because it's not that great. Yeah,
Ugh,
it's
they're
all the other
terrible.
stuff.
One time I bit into a raw potato and it burned my mouth. It was horrible. I thought this is disgusting. How can anyone eat this? And you
So
got the Cubans, they like to eat yuca and malanga, and those are full of poison unless they're cooked. You take one
that's
bite
true.
out of it, it'll burn your mouth like you're going to die. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
that's true. So I know that Carrie, my metamorphosis Carrie, hi Carrie, I'm talking to you. I know she has said in the past, I'm pretty sure it's you, Carrie, that has said like mashed potatoes is one of your weaknesses. But let us know in the chat, please. Is it the potatoes really, or is it like with all the stuff? Like the mashed potatoes with like the butter, the bacon, the all that kind of stuff. Let me know. I'm curious about that now that we've been talking about that. Eric, yeah, Eric, thank you for having my back. Peas are disgusting. I would add 7 more puke faces for sure. For sure. Yeah, Carrie's teasing Nicole. Nicole wants sardines. Yeah, so do I not. So, Rick, do you like sardines or do you
I
just
love sardines. I
okay?
mean, if I had more cans, I mean, I think one time I ate like 10 cans of
Oh,
sardines in one sitting.
no. I've eaten one sardine because I figured I should try them, and that's the last. I couldn't do it. I even tried hot sauce like Carrie suggested. Not so much. I
I don't
tried.
care. I mean, I'll eat fish right out of the sea. You know, I've lived down in the Keys before, and
Okay.
I've gotten fish and cooked it up. Oh, I've eaten raw fish. I mean, I love seafoods. To me, seafood is just fine. You know, there really isn't any meat that I don't like. I can't think of one meat that I don't like. I've had goat meat, which is supposed to be nasty, and I liked it. I've had, well, of course, I love iguana and duck and all this stuff. I've never eaten possum. Um, they look a little, I don't know, ugly. I didn't really. In fact, when I took the possum out of my van, everybody thought I was going to eat it. And I said, no, I let him go. You know, I don't know how to cook possum. The thing was showing his teeth. It looked kind of ugly, and I think it eats garbage. So I don't think I was going to eat that filthy
Hmm.
looking beast.
They do look kind of, yeah, iffy. Yeah, sardines with that. This is a joke. Sardines with Brussels sprouts. I'm sure Nicole would just, yeah, right, Nicole? That's your favorite, isn't it? I think that's what you ate for dinner. Just
She
kidding.
always has that real nice sound effect when you say sardines.
Yeah, sardines. And if you say Brussels sprouts, she goes, Karen is, she actually loved veggies. Okay, Karen. Okay, but she says I love Brussels sprouts, but don't like cooked spinach. I loved veggies. I tried to have some broccoli cauliflower mix the other day. Gave it to the dog.
Poor
So
dog.
you're saying you loved veggies, Karen? Can you clarify? Nowadays, you don't love them so much. You just loved them back before you were eating this way, maybe. Yes, maybe. So Bruce says I couldn't get into the sardines until I learned to smother them in butter. Love them that way. I mean, maybe Bruce, I would give that a try. I don't know. I gave it a try. I just feel like why eat sardines when there's ribeye? I just, you know what I'm saying?
Not everybody can afford ribeye.
You are right, but you know when I get it is in the summer when it is here. It goes on sale during the summer for $6.99 a pound.
It's never on sale here. It's always expensive.
Wow.
But if it's ever, I mean, I had it about 2 years ago. They had a huge sale, and
Yeah.
when we have a hurricane, there's always really good deals on meat. You know, what
Really?
was it,
Okay. Oh, they
2017?
want
We
to
had,
sell it before the power goes out. Is that why?
yep.
Okay. See,
I
I can.
went,
We don't have
I
hurricanes
went,
here, but
I went to Winn Dixie. It was 2017 before Irma. I was taking care of my mom then, and she was freaking out. She says, "What did you do?" I said, "I bought some meat." That's a lot of meat. That's a lot of money. I'm like, "No, I spent 120 bucks." And she's like, "Oh," and I had so much meat. I had to get my extra freezer. I loaded it up, and then I had the other freezer full. It was all full of meat. So it was a good deal. And then there was ribeye in there, and there was
yeah.
T-bone, which is my favorite, is T-bone.
Okay, T-bone. All right.
And oh, it was so good. I was so, and then on top of that, I have a generator. I have two generators, and the one runs on wood. So we had no power for about 2 weeks. My mom
So
was saying, "Oh, but it's going to go bad." I'm like, no, it's not going to go bad. Albertsons?
this is Albertsons Vons this week. The ribeye. This is the ribeye roast right here is on sale for $5.77 a pound.
Wow.
So I'll be getting that.
They
And then
want $5 for ground beef down here.
wow. And I thought California was expensive, but you can find sales. And this is my and there is a limit. There's a limit on that of two, but then my other grocery store has them for $6.99 a pound. And you can
Hmm.
get them. This is Stater Brothers. This is where the ribeye will go in the summer, but this is
We
the
don't
ribeye
have,
roast. So I'll be going there too because they have a limit of 25 pounds. So I'll probably
right.
hit both of those. And then I have a chest freezer cherry. I was thinking Carrie and chest freezer at the same time. And then I said cherry. Carrie, did you get your chest freezer yet? Because she's been wanting one of those. I love it.
Do you have a generator?
A generator? No, I
Yeah.
don't. I
Okay.
don't. But but I just enjoy having my freezer. Now, if the power ever goes out, I'm gonna be real sad if it goes out for a long time
You
because
got to
yeah,
have at least
that's
one
gonna be out.
generator. You know, it's like I tell everyone, I may not have lights and I may not have air conditioning, but my refrigerators and freezers will always run.
Yeah.
And I have enough fuel stored up. I could run them for 6 months. I
So
try to have enough. Huh?
I was just gonna say I do have solar panels on my house, but I don't have the battery. But so I'm considering getting like a power wall so
There
that
you
if
go.
the power goes out, I will have power stored up
Right.
and be able to. Because yeah, that if the day that goes out, I'm gonna be very sad because it's gonna be a lot of money. Because I always, when there's deals, like I'm gonna go get a bunch of those ribeye roasts, and that's gonna be a lot of money. And yeah, it'd be really sad if the power went out.
Exactly. If you have to protect your investment, if you don't protect your investment, there's no sense in buying it. I do a lot of house clean outs as well, some of the labor that I do, and I find all kinds of stuff squirreled away in a freezer or refrigerator, and some of them been in there so long. I've had meat that I pulled out. I was excited to see it. Then it had like a 3-year-old date on it. And I go, oh well, I guess it's just duck food. They don't
Yeah.
package it well. It's just going to oxidize and go bad.
Will the ducks do legitimately? Like, do ducks eat meat too? Like the way chickens will eat
They
meat?
love
Ducks
meat.
love meat.
That's the
Okay.
first thing they go for. If you throw
Okay.
something to them, the first thing they go for is a meat. They love it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Cool. Carrie, you're not wrong. I think everybody did have a George Foreman grill back in the day. I didn't, but I know that he sold a lot of those things. So Carnivore Leo Rhonda says that there's a heart attack grill in Las Vegas. What's the menu? Is it like Rick's kind of heart attack, or is it like, regular standard American diet kind of heart
It
attack? I'm curious.
it's standard American diet with extra meat. Heart Attack Grill has a lot of sugary stuff like
Okay.
desserts and soda and all that. The Heart Attack Burger though is very similar to mine. There's only one difference. They use bread. I don't. They
Right.
have a they have a quadruple bypass burger that's supposed to have almost 10,000 calories. Well, my burger has more calories than theirs because I use pork rinds and eggs for the buns. So
Mhm.
I have more calories than they do. But yeah,
Nice.
the burger is very similar because they use lard a lot over there. They
Okay.
make French fries in lard. They put lard on their burgers. So it's very, very similar. I mean, with a few adjustments, it could be the same as the Rick diet, but the Rick diet I think is healthier.
Yeah, probably so, I would say. Hi, Baroness of Beef, all the way out there in Australia. Nice to see you. Good afternoon. Where we are, it is good evening. We are behind you by quite a few hours there. And yeah, Nicole, I'm with you. I don't know if you could pay me enough to eat sardines. I tried it. I really tried it. I promise. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Okay, this I want to learn more about the Amish hand rolled butter. I wonder if I can get that here. I've heard about this. Have you heard about this, Rick? Have you tried it? The Amish hand rolled butter?
I've heard about it, but I've never tried it because I don't really see it in the store. But
Yeah.
I don't use that much butter anyway, but when I do, I usually just get whatever's on sale.
Okay. Yeah, I need to Google it because I'm pretty sure in Southern California where I am, I could find it somewhere. Some kind of specialty market, even if I had to do that. I'm super interested in trying that. Hey, look who's here. DC Learning to Live. Yay, nice to see you. Asking how we're doing tonight. Awesome. I'm glad
So
you're
far,
here. Yeah. And
I'll be
I,
on his channel soon.
oh, awesome. Yeah, he came on my channel. I haven't been on his yet,
Hmm.
but sorry, I'm doing comments. I got the comments got away from me.
That's
So
good. That means that people are watching. That's
yeah,
great.
that's right. That's true. Carrie, I was asking Carrie, remember about the mashed potatoes? So she says the mashed potatoes loaded with butter or gravy. Never was much into loaded baked potatoes. Okay, thanks for clarifying that for sure.
I always hated gravy. I thought it was disgusting.
Even though it's made from meat, what was discussed? Because it had flour? Because
Maybe that's what it is. It just had a nasty texture and a bad taste.
because it's
I
made from
figured
meat drippings, but then there's a little flour in there usually to thicken it up, you know?
that's what I never understood why they did that because I thought just throw the fat in there. That's all. Just throw those pieces of fat in there and cook them up. I don't know what you need gravy for.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, my gravy is butter. Like I just put butter. If I feel like it's not gonna be juicy enough, I throw some butter on there and
That's
do
it.
it that way.
Or lard it up, butter it up, lard it up, or tallow it up.
That's right. Karen says not eating because I asked her about that. Not eating veggies anymore. Awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty done with them too. Carrie does not have her chest freezer yet. Okay, Carrie, I'll be waiting.
Yeah, you don't
Oh,
need. No one needs vegetables.
yeah. I know. My principal said that seemed pretty weird to her today. I said, I know it does seem pretty weird. You're right. Then I went on to explain further. Um, so yeah, Rhonda, that's a good. The dry ice will last a good long while. I've had like those meat delivery services, and they'll just leave it like on the porch with a bunch of dry ice packed in there. So that might be a good solution if the power goes out, if I don't get my battery backups going. Renee says when they flooded, they lost 4 big freezers of meat. I know. Cry emoji, cry emoji. Yes, terrible.
One of the good things about disasters is that people I know, a lot of times when they know their food's going to go bad, they bring me the meat and the rest of it goes to the ducks. So that's why I keep a couple of extra freezers that are not plugged in, but they're just there in case I get a big bonanza of meat. And then I'll load it up and I'll plug it into the generator.
Yeah. So Bruce is with you, Rick. He's got a 19,000 watt generator, 2 fridges, and chest freezer. That's awesome.
Yeah, mine's only an 8,000 watt.
Yeah, you're right, Eric. Frozen meat would keep a freezer frozen for a long time if it's full. Mine is usually full because I don't let it get empty. I find something to put in there. I guess I just mean if the power went out or if the freezer, broke or something. I don't know. It's only going to last me so long. My garage gets hot out there. My chest freezer's out in the garage.
I keep mine in the kitchen.
Yeah, our kitchen, we have, our regular freezers there, but the chest one is in the garage. Our house is small.
My house is small too. I just pack everything in the kitchen. I don't care.
Fill it up. That's what I say. Fill it up. Carnivore Cabby, hi. Good morning. Good morning to you in England. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Let me know if you have any questions for my friend Rick while we still have him here. Oh, thanks, Rhonda. Rhonda's my fellow Californian, but she's north of me. She's pretty far north, but she does say that they sell that Amish rolled butter here in California. I'm going to look. I've been meaning to try it. Have you tried it, Rhonda? Let me know. Oh, there we go. Okay. He meant 9,000 watts.
Okay. That's about what mine is.
Okay, cool. I don't know anything about watts. I mean, I know what a watt is, but I don't know how many watts a generator has to be to make stuff work. I don't know.
It depends. I mean, usually it's going to be anywhere from 300 to 700 watts for a refrigeration unit, depending on how size.
Okay, so then 9,000 would be plenty then.
That's more than enough.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, you guys, thanks for joining us this evening. I don't see any more questions. Rick and I have been at this for more than an hour. Let me know if you have any more questions for Rick before I pop off. But Rick, I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's been nice chatting with you. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this for a while. So thanks for coming on and agreeing to be grilled.
Of course. Anyone that has the courage to bring me on has to be a good person, because I figured by now people would be tired of me and they'd be trying to hide.
Rick, you are one of our favorite people. I'm going to speak for the whole community. You guys can chime in the chat. Don't we love Rick? We love Rick. So you're so much fun. You are definitely I don't know. You just add so much to the carnivore community. You come on and everybody starts quacking, and it's great. We love it. Or JT with his little ducky. Here we go. Come on, show us the duck. There we go. I've been telling people that don't even really know, but they're not carnivores or ketos or anything. They're not in this community. I'm like, we are gonna talk to Rick, and he's awesome. So look at this. Okay, look at this. So yep. So
Quack,
former
quack.
fat girl says, thank you so much. You both are awesome. Quack, quack. So that's one quack for each of us. Rhonda says, we love you, Rick. Absolutely. Eric says, Rick is hilarious. Yes, he is. He has the best stories. You just can't believe these stories. I mean,
they're all real.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Most of us, our car breaks down. My car broke down. I called AAA. End of story. Not Rick. He's got
and imagine when your car breaks down and you have $68 worth of meat in your truck. Yeah. Then what do you do? You walk home with it.
That's right. And then you get on your bike and then you do all kind of other crazy things. You guys have to go watch that one. That was a good story.
It's Eric, like JT was saying, when he's going to send me his old camera. I'll have to take that with me. Some of the things that I do, people just don't believe, but they have to see it to believe it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have to see it to believe it. That's why I was so excited to talk to you. Eric gave us a couple duck emojis. I think those are mallard ducks, if I'm not mistaken, with the green heads. Renee says quack, quack with the capitals. She's quacking right out loud. And Carrie says that it was great hanging out with us and that you are ducktastic, Rick. And finally, Bruce says that you really quacked him up. So I'm telling you, Rick, we love you. So you are awesome. You are so fun to hang out with. When I see you pop into any chat, I'm always like, hey, Rick's here. Makes me happy. So thanks for coming on and chatting with me. And that was not what I wanted to do. Renee says we believe it. We just want to see it. That's right. We want to hear about
That's
it.
in the works.
Absolutely.
You know, like I don't think I've seen anyone with a life similar to mine. I mean, my life is like I said, it's in a different universe.
Yep.
I
It's
may
the
live in
universe.
Miami, but I'm the opposite of Miami. In fact, today when I was over there going to Aldi, I was trying to get my bicycle. They didn't have a bike rack, so I chained it to the garbage can. And a man came by and gave me $2 because he probably figured I was a homeless person. I've had this happen many times.
Because you're out by the dumpster.
Exactly. And you know, it's
Infer.
funny. People I know get robbed so many times. I have never been robbed. Well, I mean, first of all, what are they going to steal? I mean, there's nothing here worth stealing. And they look at me, and in my neighborhood, I'm like Gomez Adams from the Adams family.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm Lurch. I don't know. But people, when they walk down the sidewalk, when they come by my house, they cross across the street and then go back. I asked one of my neighbors, "Why do you do that?" "Well, we don't want to step in the duck poop." I think that's what it is, because there's ducks all over the place.
Puts
So,
everybody off. Puts everybody right off. You have guard duck. Like I always hear JT say, no, we don't have guard ducks like you, Rick. You got those guard ducks.
you know, nobody will come to the door. Anytime somebody's trying to sell something, they stand out by the gate, and the gate's open. They never come to the door. I don't think once
See?
anyone's ever knocked on the door.
Keeps the solicitors away. I need a few
And
ducks and get rid of those guys.
and if they
So
push my
annoying.
doorbell, they're going to find out that I have a sound effect just like the Addams family, the foghorn. It goes.
That's awesome. Well, on that note, I think I'm going to say goodnight. So,
Hey, and don't forget about the payphone in my front yard.
does it work?
It works.
No.
I have a traffic light. I have a payphone. I have a place where you can put
No.
air.
Do you
Oh,
have
yeah,
to
if you
put
look,
money in it? Do you have to put quarters?
yes.
Oh,
If you look at my videos, you can see it's one of my older videos. It's in there.
no way. People are not lying. We need to sell tickets to the Rick experience. Seriously. Make it between the Rick experience and the Rick experience. I think that would sell.
I've been compared to the Red Green Show, if you've ever seen that.
No, I have not seen
Yeah.
the Red Green Show.
It's something. It was on Canadian public TV or whatever. The guy rigs everything. He has a van. He calls a possum van. I mean, it's quite interesting. But I can see there's some similarities. I'm not the same, but I'm definitely a character.
Yep.
I think especially the carnivore community, because I'm one of the very few that wasn't trying to lose weight or get healthy. I wanted to get a heart attack. So,
Right,
you know.
right. Well, between the Rick experience tickets and the cookbook, Rick, I think you're going to do okay.
Well, let's hope so, because, you know, maybe it'd be nice not to be poor the rest of my life.
There you go. I'm telling you, I've got to get that going. All right, everybody.
All right.
Thanks for popping in. We will see you.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.